Okay, good morning, guys. This is Simon with Trading Perform Coaching, doing the market preview for the 15th of November. We are gapping down a little bit, guys. Minus 14 on ES, minus 22, and we have a boatload of data. This is worth noting, so I'm going to, right? Let's see if I can find this, and we will go to before we jump in. Okay, the calendar for Forex Factory. There we go. Thursday morning, 10 a.m. FOMC member Quarles speaks. Business inventories. No one cares about that. Crude oil inventories, 10 a.m. Central Time. Fed Chair Powell speaks at 10:30, right on London close. So if you think London close normally has been volatile lately, watch out, right? Good time to kind of sip a cup of coffee or relax. 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock Central Time, FOMC member Bostic speaks. Okay, so that's enough. And then you have Brexit all day, with a no Brexit deal or the Brexit deal, whatever the case may be, right? So Theresa May apparently has zero credibility, and I barely know the woman, and she has zero credibility. She said she had the deal yesterday, then there was no deal. So let's jump in and go to NQ first, then we'll jump into ES quickly. So first of all, you can see we shifted value lower after 2 days of balance, right? Let's go look at the critical areas and work our way from there. So number one, we have taken out the naked point of control. So what is left that's critical here to me? There's not much, right? And that's exactly what the problem is you have the old swing low back here at 67, 65, 65, 79, 75. The key issue here, okay, for NQ is this. Let's do this. Okay. The key issue is there's the prior day's high, right? We have had every opportunity to push up and we can't. Shifting lower, one time to the downside. Here's yesterday's low. We're right on yesterday's low, right? Obviously, everybody in the world will try to hold that. The primary, then the first question I have is, can we make it above value area low right there? I gotta kill the lights in here. 1 second. There we go. Can we make it above value area low? My next question is, and the most important question for the bulls is, can we get above and hold above value area high? If you can't get above that, now I want to stress this. And so I can shift gears for a second. If you're day trading and you're just trying to catch an upswing, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're thinking trend day up, we're going to push, so on and so forth, right? What you have to figure out is, number one, you have to be able to get above value area high in order to push. And you have to be able to hold above value area high, which is exactly what's failed repeatedly, right? So up above, looking at this profile, the most important areas on this chart are this anomaly. So I'm going to color it white so everyone knows that anomaly on top. Okay, that is the most important area on the upside. If you don't make it past that, there is no upside. So once you get past here, this is the natural target to the upside, okay? And there's not a lot holding it. There's a small hole in the profile. You'll probably get some whippiness, but this is the key area, okay? And that area, so you can write it down, goes from 66.76 to 67. Wow, I can't even see my own numbers. I'll have to increase that. 68.76 to 68.94, i.e. yesterday's value area high, okay? On the bottom, you had the point of control. I would expect rejection out of there the first time in. Okay, that's 67.95 to 68.06. We rejected out of there all night long, right? And then the question becomes, well, what the hell's underneath, which is what we really should be concerned about. And here's the issue. There's not a lot underneath. When you look at the profile back over here, okay, and I'm going to go find it, okay, see how there's not, look at that area. See, we're looking for a profile or anything that jets out. We have this, okay, which there's not a lot to do there. There's a volume build there, but to me, I prefer the TPO over the volume profile. I know there's arguments there. There's just nothing to hang my hat on here, right? So I'll obviously use order flow, and we'll cover that in just a minute. to make my decisions through here, but this could be this whole area could be very easily traded through, and we could trend down all the way through here. What's most concerning is when you look at this, and you go, where is the nearest point of control? I cannot have enough days loaded on this. Hold on a second here. There's the problem. Here, we're going to do this. This will take a second to load. Forgive me. We'll let it do that for a minute. And while it does that, we will drag. Let's drag my other chart over. Nope. There we go. While it loads that, we will do ES really quick. Okay. ES, much the same problem. I'm going to just erase the whole thing and do it over. So number one, when you look on ES, right, natural target to the downside while that loads up is going to be right here. Why? It's the only untested naked volume point of control and TPO point of control. Swing low, obvious locations where you're going to find responses. And things today could potentially get ugly, right? Why? You have a Fed chair speaker talking, you have Brexit, and you have a very big lack of support areas underneath. Okay, we're just going to shift gears while that loads. N-key's finished loading. Okay, and then I'll finish this in just a minute. So come back over here, right? And when you look underneath here, that's 500 days loaded. This is the next naked volume point of control. So the question becomes, is what's in between here? And the answer is there ain't jack. There's not a single thing that I would put a zone in here. I understand that that's a swing low and it might create a counter rotation, but there's just nothing there. So what's in between this area? There's a volume point, untested point of control right there at 65.60. That makes sense. Okay. See how we missed testing that? They front ran it. So if we break to 65.80, test into, and let's get this specific, 66, 66 to 66 to 65, 66 to 65, 63, I would look for a response. So the question comes, what's in between this action, in between these 2 points here? This takes us all the way back to March. So let's go look. Oh, wait, I went too far back. There we are. Okay. That, to give you an idea, so there's the swing low, there's the anomaly. What's in between here? So we have some information that's helpful here. Let's go look. Okay. We have an anomaly sitting right here. That's also an untested open gap. Okay. We have an anomaly here. The anomaly is really wide. I would focus on the back of the anomaly right there at 65.41 to 65.34. We have what was a swing low over here. So I'm going to mark it in red as a potential trap point. Okay. And then finally, a multi-day April swing low all the way down here if we really melt. Okay, again, that's so far down from where we are, right? That's literally, that is a 400-point drop if we get into this area. So I don't expect it, but we were down 380 intraday. So it's possible that we get down there. And that concludes your areas up and down for your critical area. And again, I want to stress the most important thing is above value area low or below value area low, above value area high. And then importantly, inside the value area, right? Remember, we expect it to whip back and forth inside that value area. It's the hardest place to trade. The easiest places to trade should come outside of that blue area, not inside it. That does not mean there's not scalps in there. What it means is you have to have extra fortitude if you're trading in that area because it's going to be whippy, okay? There's just simply no way. There's just simply no way to beat that. That's all there is to it, okay? It's going to be whippy inside of here. So let's roll, and well, I'll do this here first. I'm going to post this in the nearest areas. There we go. There's still just a dearth of ugliness. By the way, sorry, missed this. old untested value area high. There's just a dearth of emptiness underneath yesterday's low, and I'm concerned about that big spread. We could push all the way through that quite easily. Okay, so I'll post that up, and then if we get back above the highs, I'll come back later and post that up. Let's do this real quick. Chart, duplicate chart, analysis, clean chart, chart settings. We'll just do 5 days to load it quickly. And then we'll do a 5-minute bar. And you can see that when we open, let's see, where we'll be trading. Only down 4 now. So they're trying to hold the low pretty desperately here at this point. So let's post this up. Hold on a second here. Those are the areas I'm primarily concerned with. So I'm going to spread that out. Push this like this. And I will post that into the Slack channel, guys. And actually, so for those who are on YouTube, I will post that on yeah, I'll post it on Twitter and paste. Posted it on Twitter. You're going to have to click the link because it just want to open up, right? And I'll put that on my Slack channel as well. Here we go. Copy link. There. I don't trade the first half hour for those of you who are new to the room or joining us on YouTube. And a primary focus of YouTube is to record my trading so I can go back and look through it later in the day and review my trading decisions and see the PA real time we just opened. Let's go handle ES really quick, okay? So on ES, let's get rid of this. Okay. My primary question again, outside of the nuttiness that's going to take place, and by the way, thank you, is going to be a freaking hammering of stops up and down this morning. I have no doubt about it. There's enough cross currents in there. Be very, 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 and I'm going to cover it in a second, very clear on what you want to trade and what kind of stops you're willing to take. Value area low, most important question of the day for me. I'll cover C in a minute. Value area high, right? Point of control is valid. There's an anomaly is lying right back here. I would focus on the back end towards that anomaly. Hole in the profile, expect extra whippiness in this point. This is a valid anomaly here. I don't like it. Can't explain why. So I'll just watch. And the reason why I don't like it is I figure we'll test the value area high. So I'm going to make that blue. So I figure we're going to test the value area high. This anomaly is valid. And then the back here, that's the most important part. The above, over, and under of that area, right? And notice I'm not taking the whole anomaly because it's just giant. That's very important. There is no anomaly that completes us on the downside. That's the problem. Over here, there's just value area low. So, and inside of here, I expect it to be whippy, right? This is a really wide balance area from yesterday. We either need to get above it to push. Holding below opens us up. So the question becomes, what's below? See how there's a volume point of control and a TPO point of control between 60 and 52? This is where I figure where we're headed for, right here. Let me correct this. That whole area is valid, right? So then what comes underneath? You want the easy points of control there. So here's the old swing low, right? So let's get some dates back in on this so you can see what's going on. This pushes us back to 1023, right? So the question is, well, what's in between here and there? So we go back and look at that 1030 area, right? And you'll see that there's an anomaly right there on top that hasn't been tested. And I expect a response off of that the first time in. Plenty of money to be made after 9 o'clock, guys. You don't have to stress the hardest time of the day. So you can see that 2671 to 2674 should get a response the first time in. There's an untested value area high right behind it, right, which adds to the to the odds that that gets a response. Okay, and then value area low untested. again, those become the only areas we're interested in, right, are the yellow areas and the white areas. The purple areas are areas of interest. Here's the problem. See how there's no anomaly to fix underneath here? Once you get past the TPO and the point of control, really beyond 2660, because the anomaly's at 2660, there's nothing underneath. The last anomaly was already tested and got a response, right? So then the natural question comes, what's underneath? So let's go look. So since we've been able to reach 100-point down days on NQ, and we're currently trading at 2682, right? And we're down 15. So let's just round it and just say 2682, 2690 brings me to 2590. That puts me right here. Okay. So that would mean that if we come underneath here, I'm looking for a trap in this area at the swing low to push back in. But what's underneath there to help us out? For that, we get to go all the way back to April. There we go. That's what's April and March. Those are the swing lows. So, or hold on one sec. Let's open it up and see what's there. Let's get this right. There we go. Swing low. I'm interested in that. I don't think we get down there. And then super nasty, ugly last swing low. Okay, so what's in between here? Number one, notice there are no freaking naked points of control issue, right? We either need to repair that, and then the next thing is notice there's no anomalies, right? There's just value area lows. This area is going to be very difficult. The only anomaly that's down here, actually I stand corrected, and this is barely an anomaly, but since everything else looks like crap, we're going to have to hang our hat on it. That right there. And even that I'm going to color blue because it's okay. It's not a very good anomaly. It just was really thinly auctioned. Okay. That's it. I don't have anything else down there. So I'll rely on the order flow in order to make decisions. NQ's gone positive, by the way. It's just been a schizophrenic move. Nothing. There's plenty of support underneath that's yet to be tested, but those are my primary areas. And if we get above, I'll go back and reconstruct the chart. So far that we're in no danger that we're going to get through value area low, above this anomaly, above this anomaly, above this anomaly, then above this. And then, by the way, I stand corrected because I screwed that up. I don't know how I did that. Yellow. Sorry. Charts repaired. I just didn't see the top of it. That is the white zone there. I expect a response or an over under, and then the high up there. Okay. So, and then here's the low. Watch for the trap back in on the low. Okay. Okay. And I will post those levels. But the yellow levels are what we're primarily concerned with. And I'm not going to go much past here. I'll just post it like this for now. That gets our primary areas. If we get underneath 2652, there's a problem anyways, and we'll address it at that time. I'll repost those levels at that time, but those are the primary levels. Let's duplicate this. Chart settings. Do it quickly. 5 days. Analysis. Clean chart. 5-minute bars. And there's the levels. Do I have anything underneath? There we go. That's pretty much what we're dealing with. Whippy between the two purple points, right? I'll post that. Randy, by the way, did an excellent job of both trading and stopping trading when it got difficult. Very, very good job yesterday, Randy. Post. There you go. Hopefully that posts to Twitter as well. And then I can come over here and grab this. You're welcome, Randy. That was really a great job. I mean, your improvement, brother, over the last 4 weeks has just been jaw-dropping. Okay? Everyone's been, and by the way, I want to point out, everyone has skipped the first half hour and still had easy time getting paid in this market. You don't have to trade when it's the hardest. Open drive lower, who gives a shit? Open drive higher, who gives a shit? There's plenty of trades to be had. So for today, I want to emphasize before I go and switch over, I want to draw out CL really quick just to make sure I have the profile done there. Oops, get rid of this. Close. Yes. No, I don't need that right now. Close. Oh, no, don't do that. I do need that. CL profile. There we go. So number one thing I want to point out about this, I'm going to get rid of this. See how we're in the same balance area? Giant balance area in here. See this? From coming back to the 13th. Okay. We're repairing that balance area. Okay. On CL until we get above or definitively below that. Right. Or we spend some time repairing. This is going to be, this whole area is going to be whippy. We took out the anomaly yesterday above and below. What's left? I would love a shot at a long right here. That is my favorite area if I'm going to try to catch a bounce. I'd love a shot at a short right up there. I expect where there's holes here. So see how we spent all day filling in the hole here? I expect to spend in just a boatload of time filling in this hole, right? There's a lot to repair, and then we got to fill in this hole down here. So chop, 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 response, response, hold underneath and push lower, hold above and push higher. And until they resolve that, it doesn't much help to know where the value area high and value area low is from yesterday because it was an inside day, right? So we're just starting to build energy and consolidation. And if you look at past examples of that, right, and how it responded, look how it works. Push down, build energy. See how after a couple of days, once we get outside of the value area, it becomes easier to trade. 1, 2, 3, now you can trade it. 1, 2, now you can trade it, right? It's when we start overlapping. So this is in all markets, it's true. When we start overlapping value, levels tend to get less defended. It gets whippier because there's fewer participants interested in trading those areas. My suggestion is you be cautious inside of this value area until we break out or until we get something like this, where if we come back over here, this is true of all markets, okay? See, if you look in here, how super whippy it gets, breaks down, totally tradable, right? Super whippy, totally tradable. Super whippy. After 3 days, we start moving. See how value starts shifting up and we get out of value? Totally tradable, okay? So that's all I have to say about that. I don't have much more to add on CL. Those are my critical levels. It's inside balance, and it's oil inventory day, and it's set up for a big move up or down. They can have it. I'll come back at it after. I'll look at it after 30 minutes after oil inventories and see if there's anything to do. So moving right along, let's go look at ES overnight. Okay. So number one, if you look at something very, very interesting, right, guys, and I've been pointing this out in the room from an order flow standpoint, right? So notice how we start to see how we start to push up here. It's easy. This is a trend, maybe a very short-term trend, but that is a trend. That is your shot, right? See, as we're pushing up, this is your shot across the bow. See that right there? That is your shot across the bow. That is your close underneath, right? And the top of that. So see how we didn't, actually I take it back. See how we haven't closed underneath yet? That's your shot across the bow, and we haven't closed underneath the shot across the bow. When we do close across underneath that shot across the bow, this will be, and it's actually, so there's two things that are important here. This is triggered, right? See this right here? See how we activated the shot across the bow, right? We have pushed back against that shot across the bow, right? And the support level held. If we get underneath this, this becomes a busted shot across the bow and often leads to a long liquidation to the downside. Be aware if you get underneath 2686, that 2686 to 2690 on a 1.5 range bar now becomes resistance and can push to the downside. What are we competing against? Why would that also be interesting if we got underneath? That's also interesting because we got the biggest delta push to the downside. You can see it all night. It's thick and it's significant, right? Once they clear above this, we should be able to rally, right? See how we've already, the top of that, this is the head of that rotation right here, okay? So why is it that we're running into problems here, right? Why is it that we're running into problems at 2689 to 2690, 2692? Shift gears back to your profile, and you will see there's actually not a reason we should be able to push right into that 95, right? See the fact that we're not? That should be an easy test. They should want to test that value area low, right? And then below us, we have 2686.25, which is prior day's low. I'm going to do this really quick. Chart settings, 5. I'll take it off later just so we can see. 5. Okay. There we go. There's your, I'm going to erase all lines. Okay. There's prior day's low. Here's value area low from prior day. Here's 24-hour VWAP. Okay. So if you look how this all unfolded, right? We got a push down. We got a shot across the bow. Do you see that right there? That was your shot across the bow after this last push down. We pushed up. After rotating down, we pushed down. This was your initial shot across the bow. Let's do it this way, piece by piece, because this gets confusing for people. Why is it the shot across the bow? Because it's contra. There's a downtrend here, okay? We close above right here. This in general, this area in general now becomes support. We push up now, right? See how we can't get back into it? We've closed above the shot across the bow. This is what should happen. We just want a backside test to get entry. You wouldn't have gotten it there, right? But now as we're pushing up, you get the biggest push, right? The biggest push since 7 in the morning, okay? When you look at that push, this becomes your shot across the bow right here. This is the push down. This is the shot across the bow. What do we know about that shot across the bow? Number one, it's big and it covered a lot of territory. So what do you want to do when you get something like that? A, you got to get it to close above. You've done that now, right? You've done that. You've closed above. This should now, first time on the backside test, serve as support. We've activated, we've closed, but we know something even more important than that. See how the bottom of this aligns with prior day's low? See how this is triggered? This should generate, under most order flow instances, a push to the upside. See how we're backside testing the top of that and getting a response? The computers know where that is. That's normal. But if we get underneath that, everyone that's up here is going to see this. All the computers are going to know, hey, we're consolidating above prior day's low. If we close underneath, right, the backside test, this whole area from 2886 to 2692, okay, becomes resistance. And then we're going to end up competing between the shot across the bow down here that activated and held, right, and has been untested. So what should happen is if we get underneath, we should press in here, find responsive buyers, press up here. That should act as support. And then if we can get underneath one more time, that should set us up for a push to come down and test that location down there. That's what should happen, right? In the meantime, this is support until broken. And now that we've activated, I expect response from two areas. I expect response from the top specifically, right? If I'm looking for specific areas, I expect response here, and I expect a response there. First time in, now that this is activated, and the whole thing in general is valid support if I'm looking for a push to the upside, which Lord knows that's been a tough test. I want to pause on this for a second so everyone understands. I don't want to take this long for a very good reason. What's the reason for that? I have value area high, value area low from prior day sitting right above me, right? So this is the distinction between going through order flow and pinpointing your trade locations and understanding the larger trade setup so that you know what you're looking for, right? understand that people are going to be selling, right? This comes from a higher time frame. They're going to be selling this. Even if I get triggered long here, I don't want to get long right above here, even if it were to break. If I'm going to attempt to hold this, I want to attempt it off the base down here at 2688 to 86 for a push back up and a break. Why is that? That is because I know even though this backside test, this close above generated a push, I know I'm going to slam right into sellers that are both at VWAP, right, and at value area low. I want to get away from this, right, for my long side trades. I either want to be above so I have room to stretch up here, or I want to have a short setup for a push to the downside to move lower, if that makes sense, right? So what I prefer to do from here is I'd prefer to see this break now, right? Get a backside test in and then push lower through here to come down, test 2674 to 2672, okay? But this is support until broken. And you can see again, as they pushed in, they find responsive sellers, responsive buyers, and push back up. And they're just going to face a challenge up here. And you got to know that even if you took that 90, you got to be offering that 93, 94, right? Very, very simple. Additionally, we're starting to form a head and shoulders. This is potentially left shoulder, head, and this could start to form the right shoulder right here, in which case this becomes the neckline. And if that breaks, that's a heads up that you formed a head and shoulders on top, and you can get the roll to the downside. Until it happens, there's nothing to do. So this is easy for me, right? I know that this is support. I know that this is resistance. I know that we should push above, and if this wasn't in the way here, if this hadn't been sitting in the way, I'd have taken this long, this push down long, for a push to the upside. I just needed to be in the clear. We weren't. Additionally, notice that the lack of shots across the bow have not there's been no shot across the bow since we started trending up over here, right? And then the larger picture for the trend up now, that's overall what has to go. Here, we'll color that purple, okay? That has to go, okay? And until it does, assume the trend's intact, but my guess is we're going to break this, okay? And if we don't, if we push into value, I can start my process over again and look for dips to push back up into the point of control. Extend right. Okay, guys in the room, any questions about that? That all makes sense to us, right? That's pretty much day in, day out, how we're going to pull the P&L out of there. There's really no reason to short yet, except I take it back. You just got your shot across the bow. See this right here? Printed, shot across the bow. Now we need to close underneath, which we've gotten right here. So if you're aggressive, your short entry is now 2693.75. Should not get above 2698. I know no one likes that stop, but that's just how it's lined up, right? So we should push down now. So we're now getting that right shoulder, right? And we should push up. This should serve as your resistance now, right up here, that 2693.75. And what I would use to keep your stop tight is I would just use a stop 1.5 points behind value area high and be willing to take that trade twice is all I would be willing to do. There's your shot across the bow. It's been activated. Also very important, if we do clear above this now, boom, that's going to pop to the upside pretty hard, okay? We're breaking the neckline of that head and shoulders. It's an ascending head and shoulders, but it's valid, right? And now we're going to come down, test prior day's low, right? And what I would look for is a test right into here for a short, for a roll to the downside. Now let's go take a look at, and keep in mind you're right in front of econ data, right at the top of the hour, right? So now let's go look at NQ really quick. I still think that's prime, at least for a scalp, prime short location on the first backside test. And by the way, notice, right, from a mechanical standpoint, we are pushing into the base of the first shot across the bow. See that right there? That is valid trade location, first time in, right? That should generate, this is why the mechanics are important. You have to know that you're probably going to get a response out of here the first time in. So even if you were short, let's say I had shorted up here, I'd want to cover here because because I know I'm likely to get a response back up to that 26.93, right? Barring it being the first half hour, this should find responsive buyers the first time for multiple reasons. Just like it's doing right now, the computers know that that was the base of the shot across the bow. It'll generally hold it. If it blows this up, meaning it just shoots right through, the backside test then becomes important for the roll to the downside. But you now have the longs trap. But you can see the computers are going to work very, very hard to hold the base of that rotation. And now I think if you're looking short, that 26.93.75 is your best location to grab a short. I'd probably run it 1 tick or 2 ticks in front. Okay, let's go do ES. NQ. Number 1, you can see we had the trend line break back here to the left. All I'm using the trend lines for is to orient myself, right? Trend line broken. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, right? So if you look through there, as we were pushing up, here's my last shot across the bow. That's activated. Base of that is right here. The top of that is right here. That is my best location for a backside test to get rejection, right? It would have been nice if they just would have backside tested it really quickly. And you can see from over here, see how this was the base of the push up? That was your shot across the bow, okay? See how they came right on top of it, responded up, right? And again, it's pretty common in the first half hour, which is why I don't trade for them to just overshoot that and then come back up. It's NQ. It's thin. There's not much you can do about it, right? So as we're working through that, that is the picture that we have right now. And then we want to get an idea of where's our biggest pushes up and down, right, for the day. And here's the big deal. See this right here? Hands down, biggest push to the upside yesterday. And we're underneath that, okay? This is very, very important. That is the base, okay, of that push up. Everyone above there is trapped. See how they try to push above, failed, right? So now, right? So now I know. I'll tell you right now, if I can get back up here after 9 o'clock, if I can get back to the 67.90, I'll short 67.90.75, stop 68.02.50. Okay, that's my target. It's gonna be a 12-point stop if they'll give it to me. And then my targets below are obviously the swing low down here, and then I have my levels coming off of I think that's my NQ for today, which means I can get rid of that is my NQ for today, right? And you can see, does that look right? That does not look right. The value area is too tightened up there. Let's go to the profile. I want to see where I'm at on the profile. And I can see I'm just balancing inside of this. I know it's just going to be whippy inside of here. And you can see that's exactly what they're getting. We've pushed into the anomaly. We've pushed into value area low. Now I'm just hoping for a test, right? I'm telling you right now, I'm willing to take, if they'll give it to me, 67.90, stop 69.02. If they'll push up there, I'm not sure we will. Right, it looks relatively weak again, but if they do, I'll take 90 against 69.02.50. It has to trigger after 9 a.m. is the only problem. It's not a problem. And then we'll just wait for our shots to set up, right? So, and if you wanted to look up here, it would have been nice, right? So see how this is your shot across the bow for the push back up. If we trade back underneath here, okay, we close underneath. Your next trade location will be a close underneath, a backside test. This whole thing right here, okay, that'll become your resistance point. It's not anything yet. It's not anything yet, but that if we get underneath that 84 to 64, I know it's a wide area, right? So you're going to have to figure out what you're entering and what you're willing to lose or not lose in that area. But that will become resistance. And ideally, what we would do is just come in, tap, and a 10-point stop would keep you in there. I won't put on a 20-point stop, but I will take it twice with a 10, which means I could still end up with a 20-point stop. But usually the bottom half of that, and what you could do to tighten that up is look at where the POC is in that area. And you can target that 67.72 specifically from the underneath part. For the short, you just run the risk of it not getting tagged, but there's not much you can do in there. And if you look at the POC from in here, it's all the way up here at 6,800. So they're both valid areas. I'm hoping for that 67.90 to get tested for a short. And that is it. There's nothing for me to do on CL. I'm not even willing to trade it until they're done with inventory numbers. So it is pushing up. It is due for an up day, but they've just been brutal to that thing, you know. So it's been a good couple of days trading that, but I'm ready to give that a little bit of a rest. And I need to make sure I have my ES dome up. Q, ES, and Q, CL. Ah, and there we go with the S. So I'm targeting this 65.90 up here. By the way, this is, damn, they're not going to give me a shot at it. You can adjust your entry now on this close underneath. If you want a tight short, you can actually adjust it to this right here now that we've closed underneath. You run the risk of getting this tested up here, but now that we've closed underneath, I'll wait till after 9 o'clock. But a test back into 72 to 84 should give you a rejection, right? You can see there's just no oomph on it. We'll see what they do after 9 o'clock. Remember, we also have a Fed speaker. And, man, I've already trashed this chart, haven't I? I'm going to have to go back and erase it. We'll just take it step by step. And now we wait patiently for our setups. Nighty-night. Damn, look at that. 67.72 should now be a resistance point. See how we responded right off the base? Did anyone take that? Guys in the room, did anyone take that? As we approach that 67.72, I will attempt to short there against 84. Everyone knows what my rules are on that. I'm already loaded there. And my stop will be 85. And hopefully they'll come take me. That may be a stop there early because of the Fed speaker, by the way. Just be aware. But I'm willing to take that trade. So I am short and filled. And I understand that I'm in news environment now, right? So, and I understand that that may be a trade, a test to the backside there. You can scale as necessary. I'm going to take a 5-point just to start the day. So I'm looking at 66 for my first scale. And my chart stopped updating all of a sudden. I don't have 66 yet, but I'm limit there. You can scale as necessary. It's done its job. Damn, it's done its job, but no fill on the 66. All the way back, and I might get run over on this. But not yet. And remember, it's just one trade is all it is, right? One trade at a time. You know it's going to be a news environment, so just be prepared for that. Right? They're going to swing it around. There's going to be stops today. There's no way to avoid it. Come on, 66, not that far away. 66 done. Taking some more at 64. Sorry, it went fast. And now you can choose to either bring your stop to break even or leave the stop as is, right? Manage the trade appropriately. That was pretty straightforward. There was your backside test of what we wanted earlier on ES. And I'm closing out there at 66, 75, 58 right here. I'm closing against this guy right here. I expect a response. Okay. I expect a very, very fast market. Anyone take that? That was pretty much a perfect setup, guys. The stop sucked, but that was a perfect setup. And we backside tested the back of that neckline on ES, right? And I gave you that was the exact location you wanted, right? That was your shot across the bow. See that? That was the base of your shot across the bow. You pushed right in. You took almost no heat on it. It just one ticked in, right? And gave you beautiful rotation down. Now we'll let it resolve. Again, I expect it to be very choppy today and very whippy. I pretty much have a short squeeze going on in oil right now. Right? You can see they just couldn't make, they just consolidated. They did a lot of base building in there. So just after the oil inventories, right, that has to go. If that doesn't go, you have more up, right? And you can see we've broken this downtrend from overnight, right? And we are just pushing up. We'll see what they do after oil inventories. I have no doubt we'll get a sell response at some point. And whoosh, down we go on CL. I mean on NQ. No one took it, guys? Not one person? Like, that was a perfect setup on the backside test on that 94. Okay. No one took it. That's fine. I am out on CL. I mean, on NQ. I'm totally flat. I expected a response here. And the reason why to know whether we're going lower or not, the response, is because had we gotten a strong response from that point, you wanted to make sure that you took a scale off at that point to reset that trade. If that makes sense. And we'll just wait for the next setup. Which, by the way, I'm going to erase all this and start over. This is prior day's low, value area low. Biggest push down of the U.S. session and not underneath. We would have expected a response here. Shot across the bow. If you get underneath here, this will now become resistance from 2685. Let's call it 2684.50 to 2689. I just put a stop at 90 and a quarter in the 84.50 area, right? If you need a smaller range, you got to drop the bar down to a 4-range bar. But when we're volatile like this, the range is going to be wide. There's nothing you can do about it. Okay. Shot across the bow on NQ. Damn, it's moving fast this morning. Shot across the bow. That is now support on your backside test. Because of the downtrend, your highest odds location is actually here in the back. Top of this, you get a retest. I would expect a response. You've got to be able to deal with the stop on this, guys, if you take it, right? Due to the noise, right? We're only down 12 on NQ, right? So due to the noise, if we have a Fed speaker going right now, someone says something about the Fed speaker, bam, we're going to get body slammed to the downside. You've got to be able to handle the stop on that backside test. It's the whole point is that you have good odds of getting the response. And I will line up, by the way. I am willing, see how ES isn't falling apart against prior day's low. I am willing to line up on the backside test as a 67.51.45, but also be aware, if we bust this, I will short the backside test of this, right? So now let's get caught up on speed-wise, right? Before we make that decision. Okay, keep in mind, we're below value, right? But we're above prior day's low, right? There's the push in. See how it responds immediately? I didn't get it because I was busy talking, but that is a good long location, and that was a big shove into that area. Now I got to tell you, we get underneath this. This is a short on the backside test. The short runs all the way up to 67.60 from 67.44, really 67.68, 58 from 67.44. This should hold the first time. See how they're responding off of it? It's just what the computers do. Okay, so we're still holding prior day's low, though it's by the hair of our chinny chin chin. So the long is going to be harder than the short until we get back above that value area low, which is sitting at 67.68.50. And that was the response. They're pushing it really hard here. It looks like they're going to break it. That wouldn't shock us at all, right? And then once we break and close underneath, I'll use the backside test of this now. From 45, all of this is resistance now, okay? The only risk is you getting run over off the low because you have the 67.45. If they hold the low, that's a challenging area there. See that? So it shouldn't get over this 58 now. So that 52 to 58 is your area, but realize that we're just getting noise. Let me slow down. We're getting noise because everyone's playing against the Fed speaker coming up, right? So that's the first time underneath. You see they pushed all the way up. It served as resistance, right? As long as you hold underneath 67.58, they're just dancing between prior day's low and this resistance area, which is why you have to switch off and go, what's the most likely scenario for what's going to happen here? Are locals in charge and they're going to hold the prior day's low, or does this smaller time frame setup give us an edge? And what I would say in this case is this has been activated. If we get above the shot across the bow, May also speaking this morning, not sure what time. So be aware, May is speaking this morning, and that moved the market almost 170 points yesterday afternoon on NQ, and mucho on the other part. See how they're trying to push above? Everyone's fighting over the low at 67.45 1/4. That's what's going on. So what I'm going to do here, this is where I go, okay, I'll just wait. Let them work it out. Either push underneath and give me a new setup down here, which is fantastico, right? Or push above. Go ahead and impulse move and trap all the shorts and run them the other way. I don't care, right? But don't put me in an area where I'm having to get caught in this whip. The market's already sending an early message, right? There's people who are trying to break. There's people who are trying to hold, and they're duking it out. Unless you know which way they're going to push, see how we're starting to overlap on a 1.5 range? Take a step back and go, let's wait for a new area, right? It's easy. It's not that hard. And then to sneak over to the 8 range on NQ just so you can see what's going on, right? There's the top of the downtrend, and there's the tighter downtrend right there. That both has to go, and that's the channel on the bottom, okay? And that was the break of the channel to the upside. And that's what that looks like. So see how they held that 67.58, right? If they don't break that 67.58, right? See how they're pushing right up against it? The computers know where that is. I know it sounds nuts. They're going to stop it to the tick. That's exactly what that is. So see how it got above? Now they got above, it's likely to push, right? The computers, when it's going to fail, hold it to the tick. And you got your shot across. So see how they're flipping here? And the flipping is being caused. The flipping's being caused because we're caught between a tight area between value area low and prior day's low. It's easy. We've already gotten one good trade out of here. I think you had a maximum of, from where we shorted, where did I enter the short? I forget now. Here I can look. Trades. I entered this short. Today, 11:15. Time 9:01. 67.71.75, right? Up here. And I gave you an opportunity to get a maximum. Think about that. Almost 30 points, right? $600 a contract from a simple entry on a simple location, right? We recognize that this is I recognize that this is a noise area. I don't want to get caught up in a noise area, so I don't do anything, right? I'll just wait. And coming into the day, I already know it's going to be hard, right? I want to do less. You couldn't have more cross currents if you designed it, right? So let's go through it again so everyone's sure what they want to do, right? We have May speaking, London, Brexit. We have a Fed chair speaking at 10:30. We have London close at 10:30. We have oil inventories at 10 o'clock. Is there anything I forgot? And we might as well just pour a glass of scotch and relax, or whatever it is you drink in the morning. Bailey's works for me. Fed speaker at 1 p.m. Eastern time as well, 12 o'clock. I think that's Caustic. Caustic, is that his name? Caustic. That's a good name for a Fed speaker, Fed guy. He's Caustic. We've gotten above the shot across the bow, by the way, here, guys. There's a shot across the bow. See that? We closed above. We backside tested, and we pushed. Okay? So just keeping it simple. I know I'm going to chop area. I'm going to wait till they clear out of that area. Oh, and then we have Kashkari at 3 Central, Peter? Are you giving me Central times? Or California times? On NQ or ES, Randy? NQ. Okay, so here. This was the first shot across the bow, right? So see from my last push down, that was the first shot across the bow. That's the one I'm using. It triggered, it backside tested, and it pushed. The whole thing became support. They just flipped it the other way. I didn't make this up, right? It's just what the computers do, right? And now we know from looking at the profile chart, we're just in a world of noise, right? There's NQ. Here's ES. Right? We're under value and above prior day's low, and they're just whipping back and forth. And for most traders who are less experienced, getting that whip back and forth usually spells losses in P&L. So my suggestion is you just relax, let your P&L build. We should get 2 to 4 good shots today, right? And we want to stay out of the chop. And if you also look on this, look what we're doing here, big picture. We've gotten underneath this, right? They're trying to get back above this head and shoulders. Let's see the base of that. They're trying desperately to hold that, right? That 67.57, 67.60. The problem is you just can't tell which one they're going to do, right? And So why try, right? We either need a clear impulse move underneath and then a backside test, or clear push back in, and we can reset. And this may end up just being your whole balance area, right? I mean, that covers 68.60 to 67.70. You could just keep sweeping through. One thing is for sure, we can sweep this area. We've demonstrated numerous times the ability to sweep through this whole thing. So you can set up nice longs out of here for pushes back up. Would be great. I just need the setup. They're consistently big today. I agree. And Randy, that goes along with a lot of cross currents, right? And CL's still pushing, and I've got absolutely no reason to interfere with CL yet. But I plan to take some capital out of CL after about 30 minutes after oil inventories. And it's actually cold in Dallas today. Back inside value on ES. Be aware. We're between value area. We got to resolve this, right? Or they're just going to keep ping ponging people between here, right? I guess if you can trade that range, more power to you. That's not a clean setup for me, so I'll just wait. I'm definitely in just scalp it and move along mode, right? Little trend up. Let's erase this. Start over. That worked. Okay. Not much to do right now. Back on NQ to yesterday's value area low. That's an attempt to push back in. Okay. And it's today's point of control, right where we're at right now. And then you have 67.95 to 68.06 as resistance. Again, there's nothing for me to do here. There's no setup. If I had any setup looking back on this, it'd have been long right here, which would have been a nice trade, but I didn't take it. And then looking at ES, still underneath value area low, just still ping ponging. We'll let them work that out. Do we have anything at 9:30? I don't think we have anything at 9:30. And the short squeeze continues in CL up to 57, which is what you would expect. I would now expect 67.44 to 67.64 to act as support. It's not a shock because we're just tripping on top of one another. But specifically where I would try to grab that would be off of 67.64 with about a 10-point stop to see if you can't get the quick backside test, push, and then push it back through yesterday's value area low at 67.68. The risk there is if it doesn't get right back above 67.68, see how that's a difficult area? So I scratched that. It's too difficult because of the value area low that's sitting right on top of it. Value area low is sitting at 67.6850. I'm looking at this from an 8 range, right? That's value area low. So let them resolve it one way or the other. They try to hold underneath. Let's see what they do. Ah, they sell it. At least the first time. And they sold it pretty definitively. Enki's only down 13 points to keep it in perspective. And we're pushing right back down to our 67.45. So let's just break it and move along one way or the other so we can get some trades in. I don't need a lot of trades today, but I just would like one or two clean ones. What did I miss there? I'll be right back, guys. Give me 2 seconds. Bottom of the hour, expect algos in the next 5 minutes. The 9:30 algo has been pretty vicious, by the way. Back to do the dance on yesterday's low. Everyone's on hold. This is all locals trading. When you get this move against value area high, and they do this crap where it's right to the tick or right at it and rejects, like there's no institutional guy that's trading that. That's just freaking noise. Shoporama. See how CL's just lining up? Look at that. Perfect balance. See that? People are trying to force it to work. I know it's trending up, but that's a dangerous place to put on a lot of, to try to force a trade one way or the other. Where is my CL? CL. Oop, looks like we made a decision. Okay, let's see. Your resistance on NQ now is again giant, but 67.50. Damn, it's a big freaking stop, guys. You're looking for a push back up in here. I would use that swing right there as my stop. 67.50 against 67.62 would be my entry on the backside test. And you're risking, it's just underneath yesterday's low. See that? This should be the target down, but that's tougher. See what I'm saying? Actually, you have an easier trade there. There's a shot across the bow. I stand corrected. If you can grab 67, 48, 75, same thing. We need a test. If we miss it, if it just long liquidates, there'll be another setup in there. I guess I had the same thing in ES. Here, the shot across the bow just came really freaking late. So this is the resistance now. Remember, Teresa May speaking, we have oil inventories, and it can just get, I'm just telling you guys, it can get really viciously whippy really fast. I have my spidey sense up and watching for it. The one thing you don't want on a day like today is to get your ass kicked when it's all news generated moves. Okay, so just if you take your stops, know what your stops are limited to, right? I'd rather walk out with $1 than down $2,000 or $10,000 or $100,000, whatever your size is, right? I'd rather walk out with one more dollar than I walked in with than walk in and go, well, I got whipped because news came out and just destroyed me, right? So it's harder on days like today. Notice that the volatility's died down. We're not getting the whips back and forth, right? I'd like to see a push back up in here into this 44 to 52 area. Has me interested on a short side trade, specifically 48.75 to 50. The closer I can get to that, the happier I'll be. Or wait for another setup, one of the two. And notice that's coinciding. See how that they try to push back up there? This shot across the bow that activated, right? Excuse me. This was a shot across the bow. It closed underneath. What you want is to test back up into that, right? And if we look back to the left, so this is just switching to a larger time frame, right? Remember, we're coming down here and testing the base of what we lifted off of earlier today. It's already been tested twice. See that? They tested. Now they're breaking, but they're going to try and hold that the first time in, highly likely. So let's see if we can test back up into here. Backside test, break, continue lower. And we needed this move to open the thing up, right? We needed to get away from prior day's low. We need to get under prior day's low and underneath value area low. We don't want to do that dance in between. That's how you get whipped. So now that we're outside of value and underneath prior day's low, the trade setup should come a little bit easier for us. NQ minus 40. I'm really hoping they just don't do a, hey, we're going to go to 0 really quickly. Move. Did you grab it, Bill? I see what you're talking about. The backside test right there. I cannot tell you how many times that has happened to me. I'm talking about it instead of executing it. That is a beast when that happens. Telling you, news is floating out there, guys. It'll suck to get caught in it. Just FYI. Make sure you get your location right. Of course, at this point, I'm wishing I held that 71, but c'est la vie. What can you do? Whee! Right down on the 67.1250. That's an untested value area low. So expect them to try to hold that 67.1250 the first time in. That doesn't mean I'm taking it. It just means I expect a response there. Still expect this now 67.30 to 67.40 to be resistance, and I probably will attempt a short on the backside test of this. 67.29.75 to 69.41.50 is where I will attempt to take a short. Entry, exit, stop. Again, it's just a scalp because the location isn't great. But we've all of a sudden just started this, hey, we're going to sell, sell, sell thing. Low is 67.12.50. Notice they came right down again. That tells you it's all locals participating. This is not institutionally driven. They don't look at the institutions, don't look at old value area highs and go, yeah, that's where I'm putting my money to work. Okay. It literally came to the tick, right? So for a counter rotation, see how they're trying to defend it? It just tells you it's all locals. You wouldn't expect it to go to the tick, right? 67.30, 67.31, I will be attempting a short side trade on a push back up there, assuming I can get up there. Already lined up. And my stop will be, why am I using that? Why am I using that? 67.45 will be my stop. 67, let's just call it 12 points. 67.31 for 67.43. That's not as clean a setup as I would like. But it's backside testing that swing low from 8.15. Okay. If they'll give it to me. The point of control of that, by the way, if you want a better entry on that, is actually all the way up at 67.39. So just be aware of that. I am short 67.31. I have a 12-point stop on that, and that may be quick, right? I was using this as my area, right? So see how I'm using that failed shot across the bow as my resistance point, okay? The only problem is the environment. They've been snapping it back and forth, right? So manage that trade appropriately. You don't want it behind here. At 61.41.50, I'm just behind there. You don't want to take a bigger loss than that. Just be FYI'd on that. And let's sink you. Come on, you can do it. Roll down. Oh, you know what they're trying to do is hold that value area low. So remember 67.45 is prior day's low. They may squeeze me up to that. But don't do that. Come on. Cooperate. Oh, I'm going to get stopped. Son of a gun. Stop me and rejected. Like I said, they weren't going to make it easy. That's back to backside test. I made a mistake because the 45.25, that's prior day's low. That's what we just rejected off of. So, and that's what I mean by when it gets whippy, it's very easy. You think you've got the setup. That normally, this setup right here on this backside test right here is normally money for me, right? So that we came all the way back to reset and backside test it after the constant dribble. You wouldn't just expect stop. That's what's been so difficult over the last 2 days while we're waiting for econ to come out. That normally does not happen. Okay. Normally you get it, and I would have a pretty easy sway to the downside, right? All we did was come off a value area low, that untested value area low, which is ridiculous. That's not a strong location at all. It's just a location, right? So keep that in mind. You don't want to get beat up in this environment, and it's uncommon for us to get that and then run up. What does that say, Bill? Something up wave? Biggest up wave? Shot across. Yeah, I agree. Shot across the bow triggered. So now it's just going to be choppy. That's all. Just be aware of it. They're not going to let it go gently. That sucks. That's normally a good trade. And you're correct now. That is support. It's a piece of crap, but it's support. Expect a response off the base of that. They just ran all the shorts is all they did. Me included. And we'll look for the next setup. If this fails now, Bill, right, on that shot across the bow, it's triggered. So the backside test of this should hold. Okay, that's exactly what should happen is the backside test of this should hold now. What's the problem? Pushing right back into on the profile. Right back into prior day's low, right? So now they're going to duke it out at prior day's low again. You already see it early. They're not making it easy, guys. It's not the normal order flow that we get. Okay, so just be aware. See that? Break it down, shove it back up. No one has any commitment on this at all. This is not normal order flow that we usually get. And I'm all right with the stop, doesn't bother me. I'm not all right when I see the this early in the day, the order flow not working properly. So we may just be on hold. This, let me erase this. In regular everyday trading land now, that should serve as support. Okay, so the 6732 test back there. Make sure I have it exactly right. 33.75, right? All the way down to 23 is now support. Your highest odds areas to grab that 28 to 23, but it'll often just come off the 33 and ricochet back up. You're going to have to get back above the 45, which is prior day's low. This sucks. That's all I can say. We're just chopping. And it's a reflection of a market that's on hold for news. We came right out of the anomaly over here. What was there? Oh, value area low too, untested. Oh, but there was an anomaly there. Fair enough. From way back. Over there. Got it. So I missed it on ES. That's why we got the reversal. Heads up. Back above prior day's low at 67.45, potential test. Back into value. We're inside day's value. Now we're stuck between the 45 and the 68 again. Wow, they turned on that pretty quickly. It sure looked like we had them, or we wanted them. And now look, all the way V shape. No one, look, see this price behavior where it's just straight down, 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 straight up, 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 up like that? That is an indication that there's no one who's interested in standing on one side or the other. That's money sloshing around, right? And no one's interested, no one's trying to make a move here. Does that make sense? It's just everyone's standing around going, well, let's see what happens after everyone says something, right? And this was what it started to look like at 11 when we started to whip back and forth hard, right? It's not normal price action for ES or NQ. On most days, you'll get continuity in the way that the machines are handling the trades, and you're not getting it today. They're just sloshing it back and forth. And it's an immediate sign for me to slow down. Trap back in, by the way, on the low. You would normally would have expected that to break, backside test and push. Oil inventories in 10 minutes. Maybe we can have some fun there. This has to be the narrowest range I've seen the last couple of days. There may be news out there, guys. Market's jumping pretty erratically on the dome. And if you look at I can't show you what's on the other computer, but if you look at the dome, it's pretty damn thin. Like, see this right here? Let me see if I can find the NQ. See that? 11, 5, 6. It's illiquid. They're waiting on something. See that? Normally you see 100. See how it's back here? Normally you see 400 or 500 back here and 100 to 200 up here. See how the bid's actually disappearing from time to time? So there's news on tap. Just be aware, whether it's Brexit or whatever. It's unusual that you have that. And causes just crazy moves. I mean, this is not. And the lack of ability, this is a freaking 5-range bar. Straight down, then straight up. Ooh. Yuck. Back above prior day's low into prior day's value area low on NQ. And I am saving my energy. I'm saving my energy so much. I'm going to actually do something I never do. I was going to pull my chair out and actually sit down. We'll see where we are in 8 minutes. Maybe CL will offer something of interest. Because straight up and straight down just equal pain for me. No backside tests, nothing. That's brutal. You just had to be fully committed at one particular area and hold on for dear life. Bill, good call on the shot across the bow at the bottom there. Did it backside test it? I don't think it did. So by the way, with the win and with the stop, I have a net P&L on NQ of 5 points positive per car. That's what I walked away with from the win and from the stop. And notice that as soon as I didn't recognize what was going on or I couldn't understand the price action, notice that I surrendered almost immediately. right? I don't want to be the one to try to force my hand one way or the other, or try to force a trade one way or the other. That's not my objective. Is not to get, when a market comes off the low like that and it V shapes like that, I know that I'm almost never going to catch that, right? I need a consolidation of some sort to make that work. Even if it's right into my support level like it was on ES, I'm not just going to take it and sit there and go, well, that's the bottom, right? So I'm cool with waiting. Nice move up. There's got to be some news floating out there with the way the market's moving. Someone somewhere said something. I don't know where it is. It hasn't floated across yet, but someone somewhere said something. That is a biatch. That's all right. That is disappointing. And I'd rather take that one stop than a whole bunch of big fat stops. Look at that. There's something was said with Brexit, I guarantee you. That's the only thing that could cause the computers to do that. We don't have the Fed speaker yet. It ain't oil inventories because oil isn't moving. Someone said something about Brexit, and it's caused the computers to go into short covering mode. Plus, you got people caught in the short side. There's the same thing here. It's the same move as yesterday here. Look. Okay, let's up. Okay, so here's the funny thing. At 1:30, right, Theresa May says, I have the votes for Brexit deal, right? So you think somebody right here knew that she had the votes or that she was going to make the statement? Someone leaked something. Here's the backside test, and there's the push to the upside. And here's where everyone figured out it was all bullshit. And we turn it around and take it all the way back down. And now we do the same stupid thing again, right? So whatever it is they are trying to accomplish, right? So there we go. Up, there's the breakdown, right? There's the breakdown, and now we'll V-shape it again. This is a market operating in a vacuum, all it's doing. So there was no reason for it to go down. There's no reason for it to go up. We're operating off of rumors, right? And if you want to see what it looks like when it's structured, here, let's go back a week. We were still volatile, right? So see on this 8 range here when I'm operating, and I go, okay, here's 8:30 in the morning, guys, right? Dun, 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 dun. We are pushing up, right? I'll just show you. Pushing up. Trend line breaks. I know it's not perfect, right? We come across to 8:30. We get our push down. See that? Here comes our shot across the bow. Ta-da! I am shot across the bow, man. I have arrived, right? I trigger. Shot across the bow. Long. I backside test into my shot across the bow. I get my response. I close under the shot across the bow, which is my death knell. We all know that's bad. I backside test. My test shot across the bow, and then I get a nice fat move from 72.65 all the way down to 72.20. Then at 72.20, we get pushes down, no shot across the bow, shot across the bow. Everyone see that? It was just one big fat shot across the bow. See that? Ta-da. There it is, right? There's my close above the shot across the bow, right there. Close. No problems yet. I'm all more than happy to trade this, right? I want to make sure I didn't get a shot across the bow earlier. This is off of an 8 range, right? And so then I go, ha, there's my shot across the bow. That's all support. I realize most people aren't going to trade a 30 port support range. The fact is, it does backside test it, right? Second close above, takes off. You can either use the support, push, and now it goes. And then, right, just to be really cute, see how this became my biggest push down right here? That little, this one right here became my shot across the bow. See that? Or my last shot across the bow, right? I closed above it. And I go, okie dokes. I've closed across my shot across the bow. Take it long. I've at least got a scale, right? 10 points, $200 a contract. I come to the base of my shot across the bow, which is actually this bar right here, right? I go, that was my big shot across the bow. We got above it. I can trade that long. We get underneath the shot across the bow, right? And as we're pushing up, right? See, as we're pushing up, this became my, here's the trend line, right? I know I'm not crazy. That's approximately my trend line, right? Push up, push up, push up. Shot across the bow that gets activated. See that? Right there. Right there. Okay, see that right there? I go, hey guys, I'm going to short a backside test of that. Closed underneath. We came to the base of the prior shot. Shoot right in. I'm short 73.05. Stop 73.17. And I cash big time, right? So I don't care when the market does this. Who cares, right? You want to know why? Because we get the other part all the freaking time. And if I got to stop right here because I try to get aggressive on continuation, we're in a market where we've had 100-point NQ ranges, right? Taking the backside test of this area, right, after we closed underneath. Was it here? Wherever it was, I took the backside test, right? We've been having 100-point ranges. If I get stopped for 12 points, at noon Eastern time, all right, to add to our confusion, woo! At 11 a.m. Central Time on 10 Downing Street, we'll have an announcement about how they're going to screw up their country even more. So as if we don't have enough noise to pollute our situation with. By the way, oil inventories have come out. It's been a pretty muted response. I'll get to work on that after about 30 minutes if there's anything to do, right? And no topics listed or other details. Well, they're not the French, so they won't be they won't be surrendering to anybody. We'll see what happens. Long story short, that's what causes that jack to the upside. If you get upset about missing that, you shouldn't be trading, because that's bullshit trading right there. It's not how it usually works. Or let me put it another way. If you need that to make money, that's not how trading usually works, right? So let everything get reset, and we'll come back and do it once they get past all this bullshit. So we'll go from there. In the meantime, oil, let's see if we can make anything out of oil. First, so we don't get run over, we paper trade oil, right, during inventories. First of all, notice the response is muted. Let's go get caught up. Oil inventory numbers are out. I'm correct on the 10 o'clock oil inventories, right? Numbers are out. It's been a minute. It's been pretty muted. Push to the downside. Shot across the bow right here. Okay. Close above the shot across the bow, either side, and that becomes resistance in this area. So the first thing I'll do is, and I don't want to trade it, right? I don't want to be the first one into the boat. I want to watch and see how it's responding. And since NQ and ES are just, we're now on, we have London close in 30 minutes. We have Theresa May in an hour. And we do have the Fed speaker in an hour as well, right? We have our own smorgasbord of BS. Let's see. We have 10:30. So 10:30, right at London close, we have Fed speaker. 11, we have our lovely friend from England. And Bostic speaks at 12. You couldn't ask for more BS if you tried. Okay. I need to get above or below this shot across the bow, right? And then a backside test on either side of that. That would be the first thing I would try. So how do I trade that so I don't get my butt beat, right? Well, first of all, I do something very simple. I switch into Sim. Okay. Yes, I want to switch into Sim. By the way, the market's just moving straight up, and I don't trade news, so I don't care about it one way or the other. So I'm in Sim, and now I have oil. Okay. Here, I'll put this up side by side, and I'll show you how I would at least attempt to trade it. So see how this is the top of my shot across the bow? I'm going to limit it 56.72. This is in Sim. I'm not really trading it, right? Sim, right? There we go. I would do something like this. Okay. So I know that it's news oriented, right? And the bottom of my 56.72 is 56.54. So just to make it easy, I'm just going to load it in 51, 50, 49, 48, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I expect the first time that it backside tests that area, right, to get a response. Now it's oil inventories. Anything can frickin' happen, right? I may not get the test, and I have to continue to update. But this is very important because there was a shot across the bow that was honored. It triggered. This should hold, right? So here comes my 56.72. Some of it should have gotten filled. There we go. So I got 2 of it filled. It's in Sim, so who knows for real, but 2 filled, 3 not filled, right? I'm hoping they come back one more time, and you see I get the immediate response off of that. See that? So I can choose to, if I want to punch out, I got my 72 and 84, I've got my dime, I can just punch out, right? So here, since it's oil inventories, we'll flat it. There you go. 31 ticks, $310, 15 ticks per chart. And now I can start over. Where do I want that trade next? Well, I've already come off the top, and I don't have a thesis about where this is going overall because I know it's choppy. So the next place I want to try is a tight stop. So my next order is going to go down here, 56.63 to 60. Okay. Why? I want to try the base of my shot across the bow. It triggered the first time back after it triggered. That should be my next trade location. If I had a thesis about where it was going, I would just hold my trailers and let it push, right? Also notice they didn't fill me on my back contracts, and that's pretty accurate Sim. They probably wouldn't have filled me in hold on a second. There we go. I thought for a second I was not in Sim. I was like, oh shit, what's that? Okay, so they came back, they filled me, and now they're pushing. If I had any thesis about which way it was going, which I don't, it's oil inventory, I could have just held. Notice I took almost no heat on my entry, right? Waited patiently. If it hits me, it hits me. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I didn't think it through very much, but obviously, hypothetically, it can push. And I could have just left a trailer, and that would result in a test of 72 to 23, $500 a contract in just a couple of minutes, right? That's how I thank you, Bill. Okay, so now what am I looking for? I go over to my profile chart, and I'm going to ask, well, what the hell are we into, right? What is going on over here? So I'm at prior day's high, and there's an untested, if just barely, volume point of control at 57.39. Prior day's balance area, which means absolutely nothing. So I'm just going to put it in blue, light blue, because it's just a point of interest, but it doesn't mean shit to me, right? And then I'm interested in this. Those are still my key areas for value area high, value area low. Okay. And now I go back and do my work. So now I know what the chart looks like. Now I'm just going to go and do my work. Bum, 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 bum. Biggest push, hands down. How big a push is it? Well, it's not an outstanding push, but it's the biggest push we've had all night. It still doesn't exceed the push that we had yesterday afternoon, and it definitely doesn't exceed our peak push back yesterday morning, right? It's an okay push. It's not a phenomenal push, right? There we go. It's an okay push. So now, what am I looking for? My shot across the bow, right? So here's my shot across the bow, right here. I have closed underneath my shot across my bow. So now, if I think it's short, I'm going to short 57.11, which I could have, but was too busy blah, blah, blahing, against 57.27. So I'll still try that if they'll give it to me, right? Where did I do my dome? And you got to be kind of quick on CL. And remember, I'm in oil inventories, and I don't trade it till after we are done. So I will come like this. No, I'd like to sell 57.09, 57.10, 57.11, 57.12, 7.13, 57.14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fine. And I need a stop above 57.27. So I'll just put it like this. I stop here. 1, 2, 3. And by the way, normally I'd just be heavily weighted in front of it. 4, 5. Okay. Now I'm just going to sit there and wait and let the trade work for me. It's either going to stop me or it's going to pay me, or I'm looking for new evidence that that's going to fail somehow, right? Now remember, overall, I've got an issue here, which, by the way, we're still rocking on NQ, which is great. Let it rock. I have no issue with it. Okay, so see why I get heavily weighted in front? Because they miss it. So now I've got whatever this is, and I expect a response down here, right? So you got to be quick in oil inventories. It doesn't have a head and shoulders, and I usually want a head and shoulders. I've broken the uptrend from over here. It just requires a lot of quick work, right? So now we've broken the uptrend, but I still don't have a head and shoulders to work off of, which is, like you all know, what I'd really like to see is one more push to a high, right? So now I can go and go, okay, there, I'll just take my money off. Now I'm at 47 points, or almost $500. That's net. And this, again, is in sim, okay? I don't trade it within 30 minutes of oil inventory numbers. It's just too dangerous for me. The liquidity issues are often an issue. I know this was pretty subdued, but it becomes a problem, right? And I have to have a general thesis. So right now, this is my last push, my last shot across the bow. We're underneath it. So now I'm going to shift my resistance point over here. That is now my resistance point. And as you can see, we already backside tested it. You got to move quick on oil inventory days. And it hasn't actually tagged it. See that? So my resistance now would be 5,700, right, to 57.11. And I've got to watch this shot across the bow. So this is my next shot across the bow. So if I get underneath that, then that becomes my resistance as I move across until it gets activated. And then you got to do the trick of actually keeping up with what the hell it's actually doing. That was two. That's the only 2 entries you need all day to get paid, right? And it's not like it's more difficult than that. And you just got to be willing to take the stops when the stops occur. That's all there is to it. It's just A, B, C. That's how it works. So I would normally be willing to go, okay, 57.02. I'll come back over here with my dome, and I'll generally just try to take all my trades in sequence. So 57, 701. I normally would expect it to overshoot a little bit, which is why I would lay in like this. 4, although I'd have more contracts down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 57.11, 57.12. Buy stop. No. Buy stop. Buy stop. Buy stop. Looks like they're not going to give me that opportunity. But that's what I would want. if they would give me that opportunity. And now it looks like they're just going to send everyone who went long to the meat grinder. And by the way, this is the base of the biggest push up right here. We should have expected a response there from this, and we got it. See how it pushed in and pushed out? And if we get underneath this, this technically now becomes resistance, and it traps back in to the pre-inventory oil highs. You don't get above 57.94, expect a revisit of the lows now. So that's that. We've trapped back in, right? So now I'm looking for a shot across the bow up, right, to retest this area now. That becomes critical, right? I'm looking for a shot back up, shot across the bow to give me some kind of indication. And actually, if you look, we just triggered, right? This is my last shot across the bow over here. So now my entry would now shift to, just moves along, right? Here to here. And these do stop on occasion, by the way. So now you've closed, see if we close underneath. Okay, that bar should print. So now I'll just come back over here, right? And I'm going to cancel all these. And here, let's just do this in threes. It's easier. 57.83. I'm going to do 57.82, 57.83, 57.84. And then I'm going to do, the hell's my stop on that? 56.97. That's a lot of stop, but that is the correct stop. So we'll do 99. Buy stop, yes. Buy stop, yes. Buy stop, yes. And eventually that will stop me. You notice they keep tagging me into just freaking the very bottom, and it shows a weak market there. I got that. I got that. And now what I don't want is for it to get above 56.97. Okay. So you see I got 2 or 3 orders filled, right? And then I can choose to take my profits at any time or any place. It'd be nice if they would just panic down, right? And then you got to manage it from there. And once you get a nickel, I'd usually start taking a scale at a nickel or a dime. So 72 to 77. So like I take one, well, there, 78, right? And I'm still willing to take this last piece if they'll tag back into it again. Got to cancel one of these, so I'll cancel this one. Okay, so now I've got 6, and they may shoot across the range now, right? That whole thing is still resistance until broken, right? So I'm totally fine with them pushing back up into it. This whole thing is valid. I now have a shot across the bow. If we close above this shot across the bow, I need to close the position out, but in all likelihood, I would just get stopped on that trade if that were to occur, okay? And now I need to expand this because that's now my shot across the bow, right? And then if I get underneath this, I'm in home run territory, okay? And then I just manage it from there. The only problem here is I'm not taking a look at the bigger picture. So I don't know where we are. And then you just judge based on your own judgment as to whether you think it's going to go down or up and where you're at. Obviously, there's room to the upside. As much as we are down, there is room to the upside, right? There's probably a lot of shorts. And also consider I'm doing this during oil inventories. I would expect to get stopped, which is why I don't trade this in that first half-hour time frame. But I think the demonstration does a lot of good in terms of the learning process, right? So now you just sit, and it's either going to stop or it's not. And that's all there is to it. You just calculate the win, the loss, whatever else it is you need to do, right? And normally when we sit up here like this, I would go back and add in that third piece because I'm crazy like that. And when it sits there, I get pretty damn nervous, but it's oil inventory and it's in sim. And now it'll probably stop. But not yet. Right to the top. See that? And you cannot move that stop. You got to let them take you or make you, one of the two. 1, 2, 3. And that's fine. Okay, I want to show you something. There's nothing wrong with that stop. Okay, if you have a thesis that it's moving lower, okay, it got above the shot across the bow, and now the hat switches. We erase all this. Again, this is within the confines of its oil inventory, and I'm not looking at the profile to figure out which way I think it's going to go. Shot across the bow. Shot across the bow is triggered, and what I would normally do, and I'll do it here, that whole thing is support. So I'm going to lay back on 56.91 and do it just the other way. And if they sweep me, which might happen here because it's oil inventories, right? I'm going to sit on that 56.91 and wait to get filled. If I wanted a more conservative entry, I could wait for the base back here, right? Wait for the base. And if they don't fill me, I don't care, because guess what? I get another chance somewhere else. It just doesn't freaking matter. They just keep doing it over and over again. And I'll still sit on that 56.91. Bring it on back. And then I'm going to go look at the profile, by the way, to see where I'm at. Remember, I'm pressing up against the top of that value area. We got it. That's yesterday's high right there. And then this value area high and this anomaly right here. If I had one place where I was going to try and stick a short, that's where I'm going to try and stick a short, right? Meaning if I get my order flow to set up, I'm going to try and press that back in. And I'm watching now, I'm also drawing out my pattern. So if you'll notice, we've now broken the downtrend here. All right, this is work. It's not easy stuff. You've broken your downtrend. You started a new uptrend like that. I'm waiting for my backside test. My limit order sitting there. Wow, a lot of heavy delta coming in here. And that, by the way, that's someone trying to press to the downside, by the way, guys. If you get above that guy, watch out for a short squeeze. That was a big delta press right there. The 303 right off the top. Okay, so just be aware that if you get, we come back in here, all right, that's going to create a big freaking shot across the bow. But if you get above that, that is now support. That'll be a fail press, and that guy's trying to hold that. That guy's trying to hold that double top right there off this press up here. This is the head of that wave. He didn't even wait for the head of the wave. He's toast, I bet. That was stupid. Let's see. He didn't even wait for the head of the wave. There's your shot across the bow. There's the top. There's the bottom. That's a massive push. Not as massive. See this right here? See how this guy pressed hard off the bottom? See once you got above him? Total short squeeze, right? So he just pressed hard off the top, right? He didn't even wait to get to the retest of the high. We should get a response here. But if this breaks right here, we get underneath that, right? I would short into the backside test of this area right here for a roll back to the downside. And conversely, if we pop above, I'm looking for a test back to the top to push up. And in the meantime, we keep grinding higher as we're waiting on nothing. 7 minutes to London close. I would not initiate a CL trade in the next 7 minutes. The whips can be vicious. Just FYI, if you're trading with real money. Guys, is that helpful when I explain it like that? Randy, Peter, does that help understand how I'm looking at it? Bill? Karen? Cool. I'm not trading ES or NQ, Randy, because I'm too concerned that we're just going to have a piece of news come out and we're going to shoot up or down 100 points. I don't want to take the loss. And we're trending up. So to switch gears for a second while we watch that, right, on ES, I see the shot across the bow right here. We've closed above it. That's hypothetically support. The problem you're going to run into is news can sweep it. That's where you have to make the distinction if you're all right. There's the shot across the bow, right? There's your close above. 98 to 93 is your support level. If you drop that a few bars, you can get a clearer picture, a smaller range, but your stop rates will go back up. There's no way to fix that. In the meantime, being who I am, I would normally, so see this right here? I got to make a distinction here. See how we had this double top and we're closing underneath now, underneath this resistance point, even though I know we're likely to respond from this. See how we closed underneath? I would rather be short the 57. This is an alternate to how I normally do things. So see that, let's get rid of this. See this right here? That 5,700. So I want to flatten this. Let me tell you why I wouldn't take this trade. I want the backside test of the 5,700 now as a short. So I'm going to list 5,700, 5,699, and 5,701. And I will stop that at what is the top of this bar? $57.19 is my stop. So I do it like this, like this. Okay. And now pray. Okay, so see how we came into support. We're getting the response. I want them to test right back up here to 56.99, 57, 57.01. And now I'm going to bet, since I'm bearish, right, that this is going to roll to the bottom. Why am I bearish? I'm underneath this guy, right? That guy pressed freaking hard to the downside, right? That area should be resistance now. So I'm hoping, right, now I need a little help in getting the backside test. That might take a while to get, and I may not get it at all. I am getting the response out of this area that I thought I would get, right? But this changed my tune on wanting to take this long. Okay, that's how I'm adapting on the fly to the information that's being given to me. And in the meantime, on ES, on NQ, I have no reason to short this because I don't have a trend line break at all. And it just puts me totally to sleep, right? I'm just like, okay, no problem. Give me at least a trend line break so I don't get blown out of the water, right? Now I can just wait. So I got my 57.01. I got that all done. And now I'm going to stop. Again, oil inventory days right in front of London close, right? So it could just go straight up, right? But since I'm teaching instead of trading, I'll use it as a teaching moment, right? And so now, right, see how I got my entry, came right to the tick, filled me on all my contracts, right? And now I just wait patiently, right? I can take my dime now, right? Remember, this is still support. I'm just going to bet that this is going to hold, right? So I've changed my tune. I'm going to bet that that's going to hold. That may be a false premise. So now what I would be doing is sacrificing a dime in the pocket, right, in exchange for betting that this is going to hold, which means I may take heat all the way into this and get stopped and go, I could have had my dime, right? You got to choose how you're going to trade that, but that's how I would trade that. Not with oil inventories, not with the London close coming up, but that's how I would trade that. And since this is what's moving and ES and NQ are not, that's how I'm going to demonstrate it. Guys, this is how you make money on a regular basis. You can just pull that dime out. You're going to get stopped sometimes. That's all there is to it. This is how you just pull the money out of it. if you can read the profile and generate an underlying view of how this works, of what the market should do in general, and you gain seat time, it gets easier to get bigger extensions. But I can't make it any clearer than what I'm doing. This is how I'm putting the P&L on the table every day. The only thing is I choose to withdraw from the field of play, right, on days where I consider it's exceptionally hard, like today. And now let's see what would happen, right? So notice we don't have a shot across the bow yet, right? We don't have a shot across down. We do have a push down here, but I need a shot across the bow. We haven't had that yet, right? My stop's in place. I know 1030 is likely to wick that out if they get an algo fire, which is just fine, right? It's demo. The whole point was that I showed you where you could get the entry and you could get the exit for a dime. And then I'm showing you the alternative, which is if I thought that was going to hold, right? That my thesis is, hey, that's going to hold, right? I'm going to hold on to that position. And that's how I end up pulling those 50, 60, 100-point trades out of there in this particular environment. But the downside to it is sometimes I make that commitment and I'll end up giving up a dime in profit and getting run over. Okay. So, and the concept generally works the same on NQ and on ES. Oh, did it? I may be wrong. I'll look. Let's go see. I may have missed the roll. Indeed, I have missed the roll. The lead contract is January, and I'll flip over in just a second here. Let's see if they stop me or not. Funding closed, right? The process works the same, FYI. And now the markets are really going to be berserk between our chair speaking and Teresa May. This is a no-go zone for me in terms of live trades on any product. I'll wait till they step aside. Flush. Should flush. And I'll go ahead and roll this over. Chart settings. Don't know. It's on automatic freaking rollover. Oh, you know why? I want it on volume-based rollover. Apply. File. Chart. I'll just have to save it in a minute. Oh, I see why, because it changes the picture significantly, doesn't it, Bill? Oh, no, it's still there. Chop, chop, chop. Normally, just so you know, for those who are new in the room, I'd prefer a push to the high and then a fail, but we'll wait and see what it does. And NQ on fire. Up 49. I guess the Fed chair is saying all kinds of nice things like the Fed stands by to add liquidity to markets in times of difficulty. The oil slowing down is de facto had no net effect on the economy. Blah, 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 blah. And all the fools that listen to him. Hey, you're welcome, Karen. Paper trading is pretty stress-free. Too bad I don't pay any money. Look at that 220 sitting there. That's a lot of contracts. It's a lot of contracts. Just stop it so I can roll it over. Stop it. Oh, I guess we're not going to. And we're not there yet. Don't worry, give them time. See what I mean by that area? Once they establish that, they can push all. I've had it pushed all the way to the penny and not be able to break it. Although at this point, I'm a little bored. Well, for oil inventory days, this is pretty depressing PA, huh? Forming a head and shoulder, left shoulder, head. We need a right shoulder. Neckline. Oh, Lord, help me. This is bad. Slow, slow, slow. And if they're going to stop it, they're going to stop it right here. There you go. Nope. Come on. You can do it. Just let me out of the damn thing already so I can roll. Stop. See that? To the penny. Freaking defended. Isn't that amazing? And it may stop. There's this one stop. Take it all. One tick. And I would normally add that back if that just happened to me. And just move my stop over here. I'm willing to lose on that. Oh, no, that's not a buy stop. Oh, what's going on? Sell stop. No. What is going on here? Buy stop. Oh, I see what the problem is. I put in a, got sloppy. There we go. 3. I'm actually short 15. 4, 5. There we go. And I got sloppy on reading what I was actually doing there, but that's all right. See how it went to the penny? And that's why I ladder it, not just at one point, but over, right? What was my original entry on that, guys? Was 57 what? Because I just screwed it up by, I screwed this up here. So my original entry would have been here, would have been 57. I think it was, I don't know what it was on the other one. So if it would have tagged me by a penny, I just would have added it back and moved the stop 1 penny back, right? Sometimes they still take you, but a lot of times that's just was one little push above. And that's probably did that because of I'm on the wrong contract. And now you should push. You tested all the way up. You should have suckered everybody in on that. And then when Teresa May, whenever she's been speaking, I tell you what, she's been moving the market NQ 100 to 200 points. Okay, so please protect what's important to you, which is your capital. I know I am. Tomorrow will be an easier day. Even this afternoon, probably once we get all these jokers out of the way. My disdain for politicians only increases as I get older. Okay, so the entry here would have been 5,700. So let's correct this, right? The entry here would have been 5,700, right? That would have been the original pay, right? See how you have to be cognizant of both sides of that structure, okay? And your stop, right? So this one would have stopped because I would have gotten stopped and had to immediately reload on this, okay? Because if you look at this, this was the structure here. That would have stopped me. So my stop would have been 57.18. My entry would have been this. Okay. So it's a great example of how I'd have gotten paid here, right? From 57 down to 56.90, right? But then I would have gotten stopped. No, this is still wrong. This is still wrong. Why? Chart settings. Advanced settings, Chicago. Well, let's just do date-based rollover. Apply. See if that helps. Okay, there we go. So now let's see what this would have looked like. What would have happened here is I would have gotten stopped. So see this? I'm backside test over here, and if I decided to stick it, I'd have gotten stopped right here, and I would have immediately re-entered that trade. When it just popped over and popped back in, I just would have gone market and moved my stop right over here, just behind this level. Okay, so I don't know if that would have helped or not, but that's what I would have done. See, it survived. And then they'll stop it here this time, which is fine. Again, look how many contracts are being offered on that. 182 contracts being offered on that. It's a lot of freaking contracts on. And see how it stopped by 1 tick again? And I do the same thing again. Each time they stop me, I come back in, I re-add it, I just scoot it back over. So I'll put it right here. Right? And if they stop it, that's fine, right? But I'll keep working that area until it fails because I know that that was a strong potential for rejection. What I'm trying to demonstrate is if I had a thesis that it was going to roll lower like I did the last 3 days, I'll keep working the same area over and over again. That's what I'm trying to say. But if I'm not working a thesis and I'm just going, oh, there's my trade, I just take my money right here and go, well, that's the end of it. And really what I'd like to see off of this is that head and shoulders complete and get one more push to a new high and trap back in. That's what would really make me super bearish on this. Push up here and close back in. Then I would start working the shorts to the downside. Someone wants out of their 191. If they take this guy, if they can take all 183 contracts, which is a lot of oil contracts, they can take that, it'll rip. See how they're working against them? If you had Bookmap, you just see a big white line of offers right there. That's legit. See how they've tagged him and he hasn't lifted? That's a legit offer. Somebody wants to sell that badly. That's a lot of freaking contracts. 160. See how they keep tagging him and he's not lifting. And Let's see if he just keeps offering on that. Oh, see ya. Oh, and it's over. I don't know what's going on. Hold on a sec. Something's wrong here. Oh, I didn't take all my contracts. Let's do this one more time. Took them, and then they sold it. Bastards. There, I'll put it back to 12, 3, 6. Here, come take all of it. No, wait, there's a problem. Buy stop. Yes. Cancel. All. Buy stop. Yes. Buy stop. Yes. Buy stop. I only do this if I'm trying to work a trade to the downside, right? So hypothetically, this has failed. You can see where you could lose a lot of money trying to do it this way, but I'm pretty sure they end up backing this down out of this area, right? It's also easier to do when you're in sim instead of real money. All I was trying to demonstrate is what you have one or two choices when you're in here, right? And you've got to have a limit to how much you're willing to do on this, right? Which is, by the way, biggest push on top. See that? Since we come over here, biggest push. See how they took out all of his contracts and exhausted, right? If we get underneath this guy now, nighty-night time. Oh, I should have rolled the contract. Got to. Get underneath this guy now, right? And there's the base of that. So this should provide support. If you get underneath that, it's over. See how they just came right out of them, right? So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Let me flatten this, okay? And then roll over to chart settings, advanced settings. Is that now correct? That is now correct. Bill, we line up now? So everyone's on hold for Teresa. Miss Teresa. We'll see what she has to offer. Anyways, I hope that helped, guys. That's how I would do that normally. Again, it's oil inventories, which is why I'm not trading it with real money. And now we're on hold for Miss Teresa to do whatever she's going to do. Miss May, Madam May. How do they say it in English? I don't know. And we'll go from there. And what the pattern has been is the end of the day, they have kicked the crap out of CL. And if you look at the oil inventories and you look at the chart, right, this is not impressive. For a short squeeze, I would not be impressed by that. I'd be like, hey, that's pretty freaking pitiful, is what I would say. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. And there's still nothing to do on ES. It's just nothing to do. So they just took an extra long time to make that work out. That's all. Okay, just remember, Ralph, heads up if you've been away. Theresa May's on deck in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Right? And she's been moving the markets, as you know. I don't know what the hell she's going to announce. Half her cabinet resigned last night, if I understood correctly, in disgust or something. I don't understand English politics, but I don't understand American politics either. Why is this still wrong? This is still not the right contract. You know that? Short settings. Fine. No. Bill, what is the lead contract on CL that you show right now, please? Because I don't have the right one. I definitely don't have the right one. CL, January 2019. Okay. Apply. Oh, now I have it. Okay. Okay. And now I have chart settings, find CL, January 2019. Okay. There we go. Oh, hasn't activated. Then that will become your resistance once you get it closed underneath. To SMA in 4 minutes. So see that close underneath? Now you can do 19 against 31. See that? Okay. Your stop becomes 32. You simply shouldn't trade over that 31 cents, right? Or it's busted. Either one. It's fine however you look at it. What was I right about, Randy? How choppy it would be? Don't trade. Yeah, it's freaking hard. Areas that normally would hold to like pinpoints, nothing. And we'll switch off of oil, which has become just as boring as everything else, and go back to our favorite snooze time. It's just going to be a massive move one way or the other, no matter what she says. Everyone's just waiting on it, so I'd put no pressure on yourself. Just let it go. We'll set up afterwards. Well, Teresa, the whole world is your stage. What are you going to do? The world is your oyster, whatever you want to call it. Well, we got an eeny, a meeny, and a miny, and a mo. Enki's only up 50. ES is only up 9. Teresa, you better say something akin to I've learned to walk on water. Happy days are here again. Not exactly resounding. What are you saying, lady? If it's a Brexit no deal, but she's got to be she's been working so hard to get a deal. You got to figure she's just going to say, I'll replace my cabinet till they vote in favor of it. Hmm. I guess the world's been saved. Well, oil finally gave it up, technically. Well, it doesn't look like Teresa's helping out that much. Yeah, I agree. There's nothing to do. They'll figure it out sooner or later, and we'll open back up. Oil could have a nasty, nasty rundown here. They really trapped a bunch of people on top. See that? You look on top. Not saying it will, but you got a bunch of people short cover in front of numbers. See that? When you look at it from this perspective, right, you got a trend line up. All right. We broke that, consolidated underneath, and we broke, and you've trapped all these people underneath. See that? So I'm not saying straight roll down, but it's come pretty good off the lows from yesterday. I mean, it's all the way back down there at 55.80, right? And in a bear market, yeah, I mean, obviously the oil inventories didn't do much to inspire people. So I'm not saying it goes to zero, but that pattern's proven ugly before. That I am saying. Hoping we'll actually start moving so we can start trading that. It's the only reason I'm hanging out still. You've gone from wild volatility to no one knows what the hell to do. Hey guys, I think I'm going to cut off the YouTube. There's not much to show here. It's just super slow. I think we demonstrated pretty well what we're capable of doing in the room. I'd suggest if you don't know it, learn order flow and TPO profiling so you can make good chunks of money, control your risk management, and know when it sucks. This, by definition, sucks. So, anyways, I'll be back tomorrow. I think I'll do this one more day, so I'll do it on Friday. Hopefully, we have some better examples. But that was pretty straightforward how to make money trading CL, NQ, and really ES. So, if you have any questions, you can email me at tradertough@gmail.com, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have or extend a pass for a couple days into the room. Hope everyone had a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. We have one more Fed speaker, and this is some FUBAR price action. So back later, guys. See y'all in the morning. Thank y'all for joining.